Hey, I'm Nixie Pixel and you're watching OSAlt, your source for open source. So times they are changing in the world of Linux gaming, and it all seemed like pretty great news. That was until this August, where one of the biggest proponents of gaming in Linux decided to jump ship and publicly announce why. This is my response to that person. Brought to you by JackThreads. I've been following open source and Linux gaming for a while now, and have done quite a few videos on it. With Valve's Source Engine, Steam being ported to Linux, and even a Unity client, the future of Linux gaming seems really bright. Hell, there's also growing vendor support for open source drivers and a Linux Steam beta showing up. Now enter John Carmack. John, I just don't understand your most recent keynote at QuakeCon this year. You're the technical director and founder of id Software, not to mention you released the source code to Doom 3 and Quake 1, 2, and 3, and now you're saying that Linux isn't a viable gaming platform? I couldn't disagree more, especially now. So as many Linux gamers have done silently, I'm instead going to address your comments publicly. Cue John Carmack Conversation Simulation module.
We've made 2 forays into the Linux commercial market, most recently with the Quake Live client, and that platform just hasn't carried its weight compared to the Mac on there.
First off, I don't think it makes sense to use Quake Live as an example for why Linux isn't working. If you've ever played Alien Arena, you'll know what I mean. Linux has tons, and I mean tons, of good arena-style FPS similar to the Quake series, so of course more of the same won't catch on. Regarding the Mac versus Linux debate, I think there is some truth to it, but not by choice. I mean, think of all the games that take forever to get ported to Linux. If companies do like indie developers usually do, make a game and release it on all platforms at the same time, then you can do an accurate test on what weight is carried and by whom.
It's great that people are enthusiastic about it, but there's just not nearly as many people that are interested in paying for a game on the platform, and that just seems to be the reality.
Actually, I think that couldn't be farther from the reality. In my experience, Linux gamers want to pay for their games. If you just think of all the Kickstarter campaigns they have for gaming, the top request is to have a native Linux release, not a free release or at a discount, just for one to exist. I have to say, John, I'm kind of disappointed in your viewpoint here. I thought that as an open source advocate, you understand the concepts more like free speech and not like free beer. Just think of the Humble Indie Bundle. It's a living example of how successful Linux gaming can be. The newest bundle broke records of over $2 million in sales in less than 2 days of being available, and a lot of them were Linux users. Why? Well, it was just as easy to access them in Linux as it was in Windows and Mac, and that's what I'm saying. You don't want to have to use a wonky client to run the games, or find some obscure way of acquiring them. They were available with 1 or 2 clicks in the Ubuntu Software Center. The bottom line, forget the buggy ports and lack of support. Make Linux games equally as easy to install and play as those in other platforms, and people will pay for it. Though I have to give John props for cheering on the development of open source graphic drivers, as well as giving Valve credit for having a bigger vision than id. Valve has a team of people working on Linux support. Not just one guy coding in his spare time, I get that, but personally I think that Valve's efforts should be the standard in gaming companies. What are your opinions about the viability of Linux gaming, and possibly more importantly, what do you think it will take to prove John Carmack wrong? Let me know in a comment below, and thanks for watching OSAlt. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on next Friday's episode of All Things Open Source. And now a message from my sponsor. Did you know that only suckers pay full price? If you love alternative apparel brands like American Apparel but hate wasting all your cash on them, listen up. You can score these premium brands at up to 80% off every day. There's a new invite-only shopping club just for guys called JackThreads, serving up brand names at prices that will melt your brain. Unfortunately, there's a waitlist to join, but fortunately, if you head over to jackthreads.com/OSAlt, I will give you free instant access to all the killer hookups. Get over here. Or go over there. I just like doing the scorpion. I'm not very good at it.